How you doing, everybody? Randy Richard in the shop. Well, I was away there for Thanksgiving, and I didn't shoot an intro to the current this video. So this video is going to be about starting the repairs on the intermediate shaft for the clausing lathe. What I work on is rebuilding the throwout bearing here. This is the clutch, and I rebuild this throwout bearing to fit a new bearing. I could not buy the one of the original bearings, and so we modify things and build a new piece for this throwout bearing and brake setup. Get started on it. Soon videos as I get going on the variable pulley is really bad shape on this thing, and this is where a lot of that noise was coming from. So let's go get this part fixed. Comes out real well, real happy with it, and see how bad it was. Thanks a lot, you guys. Now here's the drawing. It's a large format drawing. It's just the magnification, it's not your eyes. Here's the part we need to make. This is the part that disengages and engages the clutch. The throwout bearing goes on here, then the brake pads here. The new bearing is the larger ID on it. I could not get one that would fit in this situation at all, so they must not make those bearings anymore. So we have a new bearing, so this is going to be a little larger here. This is about 30 millimeters. It's going to be 35 millimeters. And this is what we're going to make it out of. That's what's left of a hydraulic cylinder piston rod. I've used it for some other things, and there's just enough material there to get that out of it. No problem. It's nice stuff. It's probably like 1045 or something like that. Anyway, it's a good stuff for this. It'll be perfect. Also, what we're going to do is I'm going to turn it in this fashion here first. We'll get all the ODs done. We'll get the final bore done, and then when we take it out, all we got to do is turn it around and do the final counter bore. And then we'll be milling the slot, and we have a keyway. Now the keyway is at 45 degrees off of vertical from the slot, and probably going to broach the keyway first, since that way it doesn't matter, we just throw it together and broach it, and then we'll mill the slot in relationship to the keyway. Alright, I had some battery issues with the camera there. Anyway, we're back online, but I turned this down, this OD down to 1 5/8, 1.625, and this down to 35 millimeters. Again, this is what we're going to be this way. This is what we're going to be making. So that's let's see here. Let's let it cool off here overnight, and of course our power was out this morning. Been out most of the day today, finally back on. So I'm right. Yeah. Oops. There we go. 34997, 34998 millimeters. It's a 35 millimeter bearing, but it's still a little on the snug side. This is the bearing that's going in there. And it's still snug, so I'm gonna probably end up doing a little polish work, but I'm gonna do it after I bore it out. We'll just leave it a little big, and we'll bore that out. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna cut a groove, and I'm gonna go in 73 thousandths, and then we're gonna come in and cut this back. So what we're going to do is leave a a shoulder for the bearing to come in and sit against. Their old design there had two snap rings on here to hold this bearing in a location, and I've drawn all this up on the computer and redesigned this, especially since we're a larger diameter here now. It still has to clear a snap ring in the piece that comes over this. That bearing is going to be mounted inside here with a big snap ring here, and we still need to have the clearance. So we're going to cut this a little shoulder, and the bearing's going to sit up against that, and then in the front there'll be a snap ring, just one, for the thrust, for when this gets pushed over this way, and then when it comes back, it pushes against the. There's going to be a shoulder in here. Now, whether I can use this or not, I'm not sure. It's pretty bad shape, and I might just end up making a whole new one of these if I can't fix it up. So I'm just using the parting tool here. Drilled this 7/8. I did not pilot hole drill it or anything. I center drilled it, but no pilot. I got my 5/8 solid carbide boring bar in here, and those are CCMTs, 21.15 inserts in here. And I've always put a Bozo mark on there. Go in there, touching the bottom, so you know where it is, and put a mark at least where the bottom is, so you can stop maybe a little before that. And you can either do that last bit by hand, but you can, power feed it most of the way, and then stop a little before, and you're good to go. Crashing into the bottom of a hole is just disastrous. All right, I ended up about 4/10 smaller than the other one, and but I tell you, this is a real nice sliding fit. Just once it's in there, it's just real nice slide. So we're just gonna leave it. Yeah, we're plenty deep enough. We're gonna do a lot bigger bore on the other side of this anyway. So I just bored it deep enough to do what we needed here. All right, we did some polishing, and this bearing is just really nice. There we go. Snaps right on there. Anyway, and then we're going to put a snap ring groove right next to that bearing. So I put a Sharpie there, and that gives me the edge of the Sharpie is where the snap ring groove needs to go. All right, I cut that groove. I could not get the camera in there to show you that, but there we go. Exactly 56 thousandths wide. I use the surface grinder to grind it. Forget that hand stuff anymore. Well, let's see. Of course, I'm reaching over everything. Can't quite do it straight. There we go. There, it slips right over. Oh, perfect. A couple thousandths, but that's okay. That's just beautiful. That's what we need. We don't want it binding up on anything. So here's the piece we're remaking. Not remaking. I'm making a new one because of the diameter change, right? We need to broach it. So this has a keyway here, 3/16 keyway, and it's 45 degrees off vertical from these slots. So we're going to do the keyway first, and then we'll do the slots. It gives us something to measure from. I ended up having to make another guide, of course, because of the bore on this. So that's going to go in there. And our broach will go in here. And we're ready to go. There we go. What I've done here is, here's my new piece. Here's the old piece. They have to be clocked the same according to the keyway. So that's why I put the keyway in first. So now I have the shaft. I slipped the shaft, it's clamp. I slipped the shaft in there. I have two identical V blocks. The ODs of these are the same. And so I can clamp them both at the same time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the edge finder is on the center of the line of the shaft. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate and test each side with the edge finder until I have the same distance on each side of center. Then I know that this is lined up vertically or on the 0 point, I should say, vertically. That's where we're at here. I need to turn it here. And I can just see by eye that we're off. So I'm going to loosen this up, give that a little rotation, get it closer by eye. Now I've zeroed out my DRO on this spot, and I'm just going to go over here and touch off, see what my reading is, and then go to the other side. So I'm 2094, and then let's see what I'm on this side. 217.2. So I'm about 8 thousandths. So all I need to do is move it about 4 thousandths. Not very much. We'll test it again. 213 even. 212.8. I think we're good. That was easy. that worked out really, one adjustment. Yank the key out and the shaft out here. I should be, I don't know how tight that is. It's probably pretty tight. Yeah. I just don't want to lose. There we go. Lose my positioning. And then I'll just snug that back. I barely loosened it. Now we're going to come in and we'll mill this. Alright, we have a 1/2 inch end mill in there, and carbide one. It's going to do it a little easier, I think. Alright, that's a 1/2 inch slot. We want 5/8, so we need to move to each side. Each side 62.5 thousandths. I moved over to one side 62.5. And we'll just clean up that edge. And I marked the end point on the DRO. Now we'll go to the other side. If I have to square up the bottom corner, I'll just take a file and square them up. I don't think I really have to. All I did was rotate it 180, did the same thing, same check with this edge finder, and marked off the bottom again, and we'll just go on down to it. I think I need to demagnetize a little bit. .622. I think that's the same as the other side. Perfect. I think we're basically done with this, other than deburr and test it out. Came out pretty nice, and it's clocked just right with the keyway. All right, I'm gonna go autofocus on. So here, this is how our this is keyed on the shaft. This is the clutch is set up. And this is a little arm that gets pushed. There's one on each side. They pushed in the same direction like that. as this slides up, it hits about there. That old one hits in the same place, except the little corner's been worn off a little bit, which might be actually a good idea to grind that off. And that will come slide up and push those over and engage the clutch. And I'm going to leave those round. Even if this was fully engaged, this does not hit. So I think we'll just leave it like that. So we're ready to make a key. I have all the bearings now, and but we still have this part to finish. That's next. So this is in here. This gets mounted in here with with this new bearing I have. I have to remachine that so the new bearing fits. This is the brake pad, and that's right in here too. Right. I took the brake pad off of it. This piece. It was mounted on the other side. These are those drive nails, and I just backed them out. And I'm gonna try to save this. Otherwise, if I can't save this to work right, I'll just have to make a new one. It's pretty bad in here from the old bearing race. I think part of it might still be in here. So I have to open this up to 47 millimeters, and it's about 44 millimeters right now. Yeah, 44 millimeters. And so that's about 1 inch and 3/4. And I need to open it up to 47 millimeters. Not a lot. And I need to maintain a groove right here in the front for the snap ring still. But I'd like to have a shoulder for it to sit against. And the bearing is 7 millimeters wide. It won't be a lot of a shoulder, but I also need to clean this up. So we're gonna see what happens. Okay? Basically, see what happens. So you know this is going to be really hard to shoot. I only need to take off 100 thousandths total, and to work here with the camera and everything. This is really difficult. Just so you know. Using my carbide boring bar. I love this boring bar. I'm just going to take a light cut. I'll try to clean up what's in there so I have a surface to measure from. And leave a shoulder down in there. Didn't quite clean up all the way. Now I was very careful about how tight this is. So I'll need to take light cuts. I just flushed it with the front of the jaws, and as far as the surface goes. But this is so thin that you could easily squish it. So I was being very careful. I had it dialed in within 5. About the surface was really poor, and it's about the best I could do. And that'll be more than enough for this thing, as far as position goes. That's not too bad. Didn't touch in there. I got about a little more than 3/4 of the way around. So I just got to do the feeding by hand. It's just a lot easier. I'm turning at 870 here. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'm going to take measurements as we go along, so I only need 1 or 2 more cuts anyway.
I'm measuring about half, about yeah, half a thousandth small, and that's probably, I could probably press that in there if I wanted to, but it's not intended to be a press fit, I don't think. I'll just take a spring pass on it. I think I could probably tap that in there. Do another spring on it. In, perfect fit. Just love that. Yep, that'll be good. Now we'll need to cut a snap ring groove in here. I could probably take a few more thousandths off that shoulder. Yeah, it looks like. I'll bump it back so I have enough. Well, there's the groove. There's a part of the old groove. It's right there. So I should be able to get a snap ring groove in there. Hey, can you see this real well? This is perfect shot. I've got a 2mm internal grooving tool in here, and you can't see anything. I'm using a mirror to get it in the right spot. So we're just going to do this. All right, there's the bearing in there and the snap ring in there. That just fit just beautiful. I'm going to go take this out and clean up the bore of the shoulder. Well, it's kind of nasty looking, so we'll just get that cleaned up, and we're done with this. This came out better than I expected. Down inside there, the shoulder. It was really worn where that bearing or race had screwed this all up, and so I was able to get rid of most of it, but I'd say I still have about 30% there that's marginal. But so I have 100% contact around the outside, around the OD of it there, but there's about 30% is missing about half of it, of the shoulder. So it should work. It came out pretty good though. Still pretty happy with all that. This is the side the brake pad's attached to. Let's go put it together. Okay, that's together. Now this whole assembly piece here, this has to go together in a certain order. The bearing has to go in, the snap ring has to go in, and then this will go in up to the bearing. I mean, the bearing's in here, snap ring. Then this slips into the bearing, and then the last snap ring out here has to be put on. There we go. Oh, that's going to work so good. Now, I must say, help tremendously fixing this and coming up with a little bit new design was making a CAD drawing. Make sure I have clearance for the snap ring, and just getting all the details. That's going to work perfect. Now, getting the snap ring in there is going to be a little bit of a chore. Well, you can hear the generator running, huh? Power's out. Middle of the day. Anyway, I got the this all together. A couple things were a little tough. This snap ring was tough to get in here. I ended up grinding off the tops of the tabs so I could squeeze it down in there. I could not get one of these rings here, one of this type of ring, where this is, you know, in between here with no tab on the outside of the OD of it. I couldn't, I don't know, I just could not find them or get any of these. I only needed one, and I wasn't going to pay, you know, $20 for one. So I used a regular external one, and just ground the tabs off a little bit. There's still plenty of hole left to remove it and stuff, but it fit in there just fine doing that. So this is all together. Brake pad. And I'm going to call it throwout bearing. That's what it does. It does the same thing. So we're going to try to get the rest of this stuff put together.